Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's ACWise Quiz webinar, Live Forex Market Review. My name is Duncan Cooper. Before we get into tonight's webinar, please read through the following disclaimer. For those on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to follow the link that I've given so you can chat to us. For those in the webinar, just put your questions in the chat box or the Q&A box, and I'll get to them. So I'll just give you time to read through the disclaimer before we move along. All right, we'll move along now. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor at ACWise Securities. I'm a full-time trader. I've been trading the Forex market now for nearly 20 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. And you can connect with me through the week at the website. Go to acy.com, go to the Market News tab, or our YouTube channel at ACWise Securities Australia. And if you want to connect with me personally, just head over to my Linktree page. Just copy the link there. If you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates, then just contact Nathan.bray. I'll put his details in the chat, but his email's there on screen. He will be only too happy to set you up. So that's in the chat. Let's do that again. Should be in the chat now. All right. So let's get into, first of all, what the news is for the day. Lawrence, I can see on there. I don't know whether you got short that pound at that level we were discussing last night, but that level certainly held. What was it, 125? All right. So coming up, we have the UK, the pound interest rate decision. Not expecting a change, but we'll wait and see. Maybe we're wanting to see what the vote is in terms of the numbers for and against staying, doing nothing or cutting. Do these votes change? Are we leading much more closer to an interest rate cut at some point? And then we got, so that's at 9 o'clock, 9:30, Governor Bay speaks from the Bank of England. So he'll be giving you an update of what they've just done. 10:30 p.m. for the US, we've got unemployment claims. 1 in the morning, Bank of Canada Governor Macklemore speaking. 3:01, the US 30 bond yield auction. And then 2 tomorrow, then for 4 o'clock pound, GDP month on month. And 10:30 p.m. Canadian employment data. Midnight into Saturday, prelim UOM consumer sentiment. So a few more data items coming out. So much less heavy data week than last week, but there are some things that can move the market. So I know what's coming out, especially there at 9 o'clock for the UK interest rate decision. So pound cross is going to be heavily affected with that, I am sure. Generally speaking, pound dollar's weak leading into then. So maybe they're not anticipating anything positive for the currency. All right, let's get into the charts now. First up, US dollar continues its move up this week. So what I think has maybe happened from the weekly chart perspective here is that we've had a pullback to about the 79% level of the weekly uptrend range. And are we heading up long term or medium term? Continue the trend up to a new high through the month, maybe. At the moment, the day chart trend is still down, but that's been down because of that corrective measure we've had. So anticipating at some point we'll get a higher bottom maybe to form here to continue a move up to test these highs. All right, as long as that is the kind of thing that we're seeing, we're going to see pairs to the US dollar moving down. And with this general strengthened, yields generally may be rising. The S&P 500 has been moving up, but we're maybe just putting in a pause here. This has been a weekly move down here. Get to my weekly chart. We are actually generally in an uptrend here on the weekly, but we are very high up here. We've pulled back, and there is a question in my mind at this 79% level. Are we going to turn over to put in a lower top to come back down to this significant historical high that was for the market? All right, this low here isn't really at a massive technical level. This is a massive technical level. So are we going to come down to the technical level? So trend on the weekly is up here. So I'm just putting it out there that we could form a lower top at this level at the moment, especially if we can't move above that level. Potentially we're going to put in a lower top there. Now the daily is up, but it is pausing for thought over the last 2 trading days, just short of the 52.07 level there, the 79% level. So if we do see some form of lower top form here over the next, so let's say 5 trading days, we may get a signal that yes, we're topping out here. And we might see, if I was wanting to trade this to the downside, I'd like to see some form of daily chart lower top form. And that would be the thing that would convince me that, okay, maybe we are now going to be coming down to retest this low and maybe come down into the support area at 48.16. So I'll just be monitoring for a potential lower top to form there at the moment on S&P 500. You could get in at a much lower detail level. If you see the 4-hour chart turn down, which potentially it is here, lower bottom, potential lower top forming here. This is intraday, definitely in a downtrend already. So how much information do you need to decide you want to short maybe? Okay, you can make a decision. All right, let's get into euro dollar. It's moving down today, a bit choppy yesterday, but notably, one of the things I talk about, this is my 15-minute chart, is intraday, if we're not getting above the central pivot point or at it the day before, that's, even though we're sideways, that's just weakness to the downside. So today, we're seeing weakness to the downside. So let's just go to the day chart. Well, weekly chart, if you haven't been with me all week, we've actually moved up to potentially put in a lower top here. We have a lower top, lower bottom. This has all been a rally over the last 4 weeks, coming up to 62% area, back to a daily resistance area here. So in between the 62, 79% level. Friday, Monday, Tuesday, all rejected the 62 level. And whilst this is higher tops and bottoms on the daily, that's corrective against the weekly. So I'm thinking this is a final top and it will be a lower top on the weekly chart. All right, so it's coming into a little bit of area of support today. So it's not just where you want to sell, but if you can see some form of rally for sure. So I'm anticipating that we're going to see, that's been the move down on the weekly. That's been the corrective move on the weekly. And we're coming maybe down like so. On the daily, we're probably going to see some form of price action like that. So it doesn't normally just go straight down without coming up for a lower top. So be aware of that. However, at the moment, trend here on the 4-hour got a little bit mixed to down now. Lower top, lower bottom. Want to sell a rally if you want to get involved to the downside. So I would drag a fib across the most immediate down range there. That's how it looks on the 15. Keep dragging the fib down if price keeps moving down. And then look, I always look at the 79% level, generally speaking. Can it come back up to 79% level to sell a rally? Now, if you're more bullish, we are coming into an area of support down here at 107.23. So you could look for a turnaround down there if you're much more on the buy side. So that is where support is today. Okay, but I'm more to the downside, so I'm just looking for a rally. So I will be monitoring this current move down, wait for price to rally back up to 62 to 79% area. Euro yen. Now this is how I mapped it all out on Tuesday. I'm very much still on the sidelines on these yen pairs. I was actually got long on Friday, the euro yen, but got out when I was up 200 pips, and it's been up at least another 100 pips since then, which is annoying. But after last week's declines, this is the 4 hour, the daily massive decline down, looking to see where this might come up and pause, and are we going to see a continuation to the downside with all that selling or not, as the case may be. So my area to watch still hasn't changed. I've got two ranges, one from last week's high to low, one from this intermediary high to low of last week's trading. And I'm just monitoring the high end, the 62% level here with that high around the 168.65 level. There's another range here, the 79% level at 167.66. I'm just watching this area here. We haven't been able to get there yet. I'm aware that there's an intra high here. That is kind of where the market's pausing at the moment. Dollar yen's been moving up to new highs all week in its intraday move up. So I'm going to need to see on the 4 hour chart a change in trend. This is higher bottom, higher top, higher bottom at the moment. So I'm waiting to see if we top out. It's not telling me that yet. So I'm just on the sidelines, waiting to see if price can start to top out at a level that I'm watching. It might not top out. It may go all the way back up to the top. But after two interventions last week, I'm a little bit concerned that we might see some more. So I'd like to see price top. Does it start to turn over? Maybe we might get another intervention, but do I see the structure on the 4 hour chart turn back to down somewhere? That's what I'm watching for. All right, euro pound hasn't really had a pullback on the 4 hour chart yet that I've been watching. But let's just quickly go back to the daily here. Structurally, we're higher bottom. Are we going to be seeing a move like so over time? Now, there's a high bottom here on the daily, a minor one. So I would be monitoring from that low to high for a pullback. See if we can keep moving up. Of course, if the pound drops today, this is going to keep moving up and without pulling back from the, if we get a reaction from the interest rate decision. But so I would monitor, that's the day chart, higher bottom to top at the moment, is look for a pullback. There's an area of, this is a weekly area of old support to the left that could act as support, 85.75, and the 62.79% zones here. So I would watch to see if we could get a pullback into that area. Do we hold for the next movement this way? Okay, not especially excited about the euro pound, but if I was wanting to trade it, that's the area that I'll be watching. Okay, pound dollar, of course, we've got the interest rate decision letter. Weekly chart, if you haven't been following me, I'm thinking we've gone down. We've rallied to 79% and we're coming down to 127 over time. That's my bias. Day chart, just in a little bit of an area of support on all these lows here. You'll see it more on the 4 hour chart. But these areas have been eroded to the left once more. We've come above, back below. You can see today we've been up to that level and tested. So the 125.100 area and this low here has been resistance today. There's a 4-hour test up there. And, we're going to have to negotiate these 4-hour lows. So you need to know that we are coming into an area of 4-hour support here at the moment. Now we might break through there with the interest rate decision, or we may just break through there over time. But at the moment, that's why we couldn't get through there yesterday. And we bounced up. So we're bouncing off this area of support back up to resistance. We're holding there. So maybe with the overall downtrend, we will eventually start to move down through there. It would be nice. If you're looking for a nice safe option here, you wait for this to come down through. It'll potentially come back up for a rally. And then you look to sell a rally to keep going with that downtrend. Now, today with the interest rate decision, we may well see a bounce back up to 125. That is holding as resistance, so that would be an ideal level to watch for the market to once more hold again. But just be aware of you don't want to be selling into this area. You want to try and sell a rally if you can. So, like we're saying on the euro dollar, you could be dragging a fib down that range. Anywhere up here at the 79% level, 24.94 to the 2500 level could be a good area to watch for failure. I think when I was doing my webinar yesterday, we were here, or we're coming up. I don't think we quite got to 125. We're coming up that way and discussing whether or not that was going to hold or not. Of course, it failed, came back up, failed, came back up today and failed. So quite clearly 125 has been now proven to be the area where the sellers are quite happy to sell. So I would most definitely watch that area again today. If you haven't already sold there, that would be the area to watch if the market wants to be kind and give you another opportunity. And, we quite clearly had some form of trend line break here earlier in the day. There's an opportunity to catch, an entry point just underneath the 125 level. All right. Pound yen. It's holding its 4-hour uptrend. These are the fibs I put in on Tuesday. Same commentary as I was saying on the euro yen. Looking to see where we're going to rally back to this week, and then do we turn back to down. My levels haven't changed. 195.88, if I go to the monthly chart, is this high that we false broke last week. That could be a great area of resistance to trade down from if we can get back to it. So this is my day chart. That's that level up there. A couple of ranges I'm monitoring is last week's high to low on the 4-hour chart, and this high to low on the 4-hour chart. And 79% level of this range comes close to that monthly high. So I'm watching 195.88 to 196.11. Just waiting to see if price can get up there and want to fail. Doesn't seem to be moving up as much as, say, the euro yen has moved up. But structurally down the 4-hour chart, it is in an uptrend. So, I'd like to see it get up to here. So for the 4-hour trend to continue up to here, and then see a 4-hour downtrend start to form, and then look for an opportunity to get short. Whether or not that's going to come around, I don't know, but that's what I'm watching for. Definitely game of patience at the moment. All right, getting into Aussie yen. Watching the 102.82 level primarily. That's the monthly level that we folks broke last week. It's this monthly high over here. So we're just coming back up on the day chart at the moment. Again, on my 4-hour chart, I've got last week's range, high to low, mapped in. This high to low, mapped in. And we're above the 79% level of this range, so it doesn't really tell me too much. But I'm going to keep the fib there because it highlights the high point. And that high point is very close to the 102.82 level. So I'm most definitely watching here, 102.82 to 102.74. What's going to happen if we get there? There's more intraday highs from last week there too. So see how we moved. Once we folks broke that monthly high, came down, came up. So there's kind of two tests there where it held. This test got fractionally shorter. Now, we might not be able to take this high out, but I am predominantly looking at this whole area up here. Do we test that area and reject, or do we fall short? So I'm just being patient. Does it come up to here? Doesn't like it. If it doesn't like it up there, if we reject up there on the 4-hour chart, then I'm going to be looking to try and construct a short back to the downside. At the moment, you can see here it is. It's a bit horrible price action, but it is just holding just. It maybe started to want to go short here, but then it couldn't. So are we going to come up into here? And then are we going to fail there? All right, another game of patience at the moment. All right. Aussie. Now, it's trading quite nice this week after failing up at the 66.43 area, 44 area. Are we putting in a double top on the weekly chart? This is a day chart, but that's a weekly high, and this is going to be potentially a weekly high up here. Is that going to be a double top to see a long-term move down this way? Could still come up for a further test up here at the moment, because the day chart trend is up into the high top, bottom, top. So this could put in a higher bottom here and want to have another go up here. Or it might come up to put in a lower top. Or it might not want to have it. It might not want to do that at all. It may just continue days down, days down, days down. Now on the 4-hour chart, starting to show some resistance at this broken area and this old top here. All right, so maybe it can't come up for a much higher rally because this area is seemingly getting capped. And it's the 79% level of the range. So that 79% level at the moment is most definitely now becoming the cap for the market. So if we get another test of that area and you wanted to get short, that's well worth an area to watch. To the 15. So there you can see the 79% level. Broke below, tested here. So that's the area. If you're not short already, that's the area to look at 65.83. Up to the high of Asia at the moment. Now, whether or not it can get back into there, who knows? But that is most definitely where the sellers are. So it's well worth keeping around that area. If you haven't realized where the best area is, well, that is the best area if price can get back up there today. And with any volatility, for sure, watch 6600. Okay. If we have any news coming out, that can spike it up this week. Be it the US news today or Saturday's midnight news. Watch 66 because that may be a very good area to watch for a failure if we can get back up to that level over the next couple of days. All right, but I'm anticipating that maybe we are double topping up here and you want to look for an opportunity to get short. I always say with double tops, I want to be in by the 79% level. That then maximizes your risk to reward if we can move down to. So this is offering a very good risk reward opportunity if we're going to trade down, because if you can get in at the 79% level, stop above here, target for the double top is down here at 60.79. I know that's a long way away, but if this is going to manifest itself truly, that's going to offer you a risk reward of about 1 to 7, something like that. All right. And maybe even better than that if you have a tight stop. If you sell at the 79% level and get your stop just above here somewhere, not going above the high point, which is much further away, you could have a risk reward of over 1 to 10, assuming that the whole thing, eventually, confirms that we've got a double top, and we break this low here, and then we come down to the target. So it's a pattern that offers great risk rewards. Whether or not it's going to run out, we won't know, but you don't know, but you have to be prepared to engage to see whether it will run out. Okay. So watching up there at 65.83 would be the area to watch. To the New Zealand yen. All right. The main area I'm watching is this monthly high up here at 94.04. We false broke it. So this major high here. Day chart. Massive false break and rejection and sell-off down last week. I'm monitoring the range of last week at the moment from high to low. And my analysis hasn't changed from Tuesday. The major areas is 79% level and the monthly high. There is this intro week for our top area at 62% level that you could also be watching. What happens at 93.61? Approximate area there. I much prefer this area, but that could. That's the similar area that I was discussing on the Aussie yen. This area here. All right. So the New Zealand yen is a little bit higher up than this pair when we were referencing the 4-hour resistance area, but just to put things in perspective. So I'm just monitoring all these yen pairs at the moment to see if the 4-hour structure can change back to down in line with what we were seeing last week's intervention declines, okay? New Zealand dollar. A bit weaker than the Aussie dollar because it hasn't come up to test the weekly high. It's fair at 79% level of the weekly range. So if you want to know what that looks like on the weekly, to a lower bottom, it's actually a lower top to lower bottom. We're forming a lower top here now at this resistance area and the 79% level to further put in a further lower low. And now we're going to challenge last year's low. All right, so on the day chart, we fell at 79% level last week. I actually highlighted that last Tuesday and Thursday, and it was miles away, but it got hit on the Friday job figures. So sometimes when I have a level that I'm watching, price can be miles away. But that was a great area to sell at last week. Now, whether or not we get a retest of that level, I don't know, but you can be watching that level. At the moment now, having failed at 79% level, we are seeing some kind of support at the 62 here at the moment. But what I would start to watch, if we can't come up to here, so you have the opportunity to trade there, then what we might start to see is that over the passage of time, the 62% level gets eroded and becomes resistance to trade down from. So I will just be watching for that. Or, so watching for this to come down and starting to see intraday that this becomes resistance to trade down from. Or if the market can be friendly, this 4-hour range that we've been trading up inside, do we come up to 79% level at 60.11? So on the 15-minute chart, that's that area just there. All right, now what we can see, price hasn't wanted to get to that level. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 fairways just was about the 60.08 level. So there's only 3 pips difference from all these highs here. To that area. So, you know, if you foresee price to come up, not get here, and it just kind of fogs breaks this area. All right. This is the area then to try and trade as close to as possible for a move down. All right. So market is at the moment proving it doesn't want to get to 60.11, but some news volatility to get it up there. So that would be the maximum area maybe to have a look at the moment. 60.11 seems to be topping out more like 60.07 to 8. So that would be a good, most definitely a good area to look at if it can revisit. Bit choppy today, as you can see. It's only done about, was it 17 pips? Is that all it is? It's only done about 17 pips today. All right, so you can definitely get back up to where I'm highlighting. All right, dollar Canadian. So on the day chart, this range here, we've had a 62% pullback. It is rather choppy, stuck between areas of support and resistance. Just want to go to my weekly chart. This is a bit of a minor area. It's really failed up at just short of these monthly tops. The question is, it's actually got this movement down on the bottom of that candle. Let me just get rid of that fib. It's getting support from monthly broken resistance, and it's moved up, getting failure at monthly resistance, moving down to get support at broken resistance. So really, if I just got rid of a few lines here at the moment, primary area is here to here, that whole range. And we're kind of in the middle of that range at the moment, which isn't that exciting. You know, where you can, if you can clearly define where the range is, given this is the weekly chart, but it's actually, most of that was a monthly area. Let me just correct myself. That was the weekly chart, so it's weekly broken resistance becoming support. This is weekly resistance, but it's also monthly resistance. So monthly highs we've been trying to test and failed at. So we are getting support from the old weekly highs. We might get support down from that area to, yes, eventually push through, but we are rather range bound between two points. So you have to understand the boundaries. And on the day chart at the moment, the boundaries here. So not a lot of room left to get long. I think the approach for the dollar Canadian at the moment, of course, we've got the job figures on Friday, so that may well break the range to the upside potentially, maybe, is at the moment supports here, 36.13. There's also a minor low here. So that's your support zone. So about 136.30 to 136.13. And resistance, $137.84. So up here, watch for failure to come back down into here. If it came back down into here, watch this to hold, to trade back up. So those are the boundaries, actually breaking down into the day chart there, as we're rather range bound, okay? We might get a breakout to the upside if the job figures leads to more US dollar strength on the US dollar Canadian pair. All right. Not that exciting at the moment. Dollar CAD, dollar franc. It's a slow move up at the moment here on the dollar franc. Discussing on Tuesday, would we maybe come back up into this area to form some form of head and shoulder pattern? Nothing's much changed. Haven't gone that. That was Tuesday's candle. Didn't do much yesterday. We're just seeing a bit of US dollar strength today. So coming up, last week we quite clearly saw a failure at that 91.47 level. It's a weekly level over here. So that's the big question. Is that pattern going to come to fruition? So if you like the dollar franc, are we going to see a head and shoulder pattern maybe form at the 91.47 level? Price is going to get there yet, but if we got back up to 91.47, I would for sure want to be asking myself the question, I'm starting to see it fail there. Now, of course, if we just move up strongly and blow through there, it's off the cards. But if we get up to 91.47, we start to hold. Might see, if you start to see a 4-hour rejection up there, then you need to ask yourself the question, are we going to see that pattern start to form to move to the downside? Okay. Right, dollar yen, which has been moving up all week. It's in the 4-hour uptrend here. Ranges I'm watching is the high and low of last week, like I've been saying on the other yen pairs. And this kind of minor rate, in fact, that minor range probably isn't too much focus. Now there's this range here. And really up here is where I'm watching that high point, 157.98 to 79% point. There's an imbalance in here, in this area. There's actually some more imbalance in here, but does the market want to come and fill the imbalance, get up to, previous? This is where the last intervention really came into force. So, if we started to come into anywhere up here, that's where you want to start to look for the 4-hour chart to maybe turn over. Monitor the 15-minute chart. Do you start seeing intervention coming in? Because that's most definitely where the Bank of Japan is going to start to watch. That's the last major part of the intervention. It looks like there's kind of 3 interventions last week. 1, 2, and this one, I don't know if it was intervention or just the market deciding it wanted to sell because of the price structure forming to the downside. But once we get back up to this area, which is get my drawing tool to disappear. So around 157.37 would feel like imbalance up there. So anyway, from there up to the other zone I've marked in would be the area I would watch. I know there's still a lot of room to get up there. I mean, you could be watching the dollar yen and waiting for the next 4-hour pullback, wanting to buy the next higher bottom. I mean, if we're going up to this area, of course, price has to get there so you can trade that way. But you'd need to look for the next higher bottom to form if you want to trade to the upside. So you need to see some form of pullback, higher bottom, and get in on the dip. All right, some thoughts on dollar yen. As I see your comments, I'll get to those. All right, gold. Like I was saying on Tuesday, this looks like it's fading at 32.24 to continue a movement down at the moment. So any Drop into the 4-hour chart. Any movements up at or close to 32.24 at the moment? You can see any movements up here and getting capped just short. There was a rally up there to 32.24. These are just getting slightly shorter, but it's rather flat and sideways here. So any volatility spikes up, 32.24 is the level to watch on gold to get short. Day trend is down at the moment, correcting this massive move up. So it doesn't like this old area of support. It's starting to really form that as resistance. So opportunities at or close to 23.24 to get short, I think, on gold at the moment for a move back down the range to support would be here at 22.22 down to around about 21.90, this area here. All right, Azul, you want me to look at US 30? So that all-time high that was kind of being support here on two dip downs. Could be coming up to form a lower top. So the 62 level at the moment. So for sure, this area here, 62.79% area, if we start to stall here, form a lower top, we could see a movement back down to actually get down to the support level at 26.923. All right, that's my thoughts there at the moment. Pretty much the same thoughts I'm having on the other indices. Are they coming up to form a lower top on the weekly charts? All right, another day chart trend is up, but just looking a little bit toppy. If we move back below 38.579, this high here on the daily, that would suggest we're moving back down to test this low and maybe what was the all-time high at 36.923. Okay, silver, you want me to look at? If I can find it. That's silver, yeah. Yep. All trends are up on silver, aren't they? Monthly is up. I know this is the, if you got back up to here, that'd be dangerous if you're just getting in. If you're looking to the long side, I don't know what you're doing, but if you're looking to the long side, you need to be risk-free by this point because we could fail here once more. Put in a higher bottom here from support coming in through this area. Daily chart, just putting in a higher bottom. So I would anticipate maybe this is coming up. I mean, it could be coming up to fail up here, and this could be the failure area here. At the moment, though, that would be the danger area for the move up. At the moment, the trend is up. So starting to put in a little higher bottom here. Of course, this high here, which we're testing today, if we were to reject at this high today, then we may see this stall to move back down. but there's a little higher bottom forming here. So we're definitely in an uptrend. So you're looking to short it. I mean, 4-hour trend is still up as well. For sure, if this day chart high over here, if we get a 4-hour rejection here, then that's a little bit negative. But we have broken above last week's high, so we're having a week up. I'd be more inclined to think that this is maybe coming up to here. Maybe at least coming up to fill this imbalance area at the moment. All right, that's how it looks for me. I mean, if we get a nasty rejection at this high point, then we could be moving back down there. But at the moment, just looking at the day chart, it's looking like we could be moving higher. Of course, it's going to react to the news. All right. Right, so that's my thoughts on those two pairs or instruments. All right, let's just drop back, see what that euro dollar is doing. Just having a little bit of a pickup from the low of the day. Right, pound's just having a bounce. Don't forget the pound's got the interest rate decision in an hour's time. Aussie, not doing much. Right, so the market may well be waiting. Well, there's two items coming out. Got the UK interest rate decision at 9, and the statement from the Governor Bailey at 9:30, and then the US figures, unemployment claims figures at 10:30. So market's a little bit slow going right this minute as it waits for a couple of data prints to come out. But once those have come out, then if price comes to a level that you're watching, then see how price moves. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up there. If you want to join me next week, just head over to the webinar page. My next webinar will be next Tuesday for more analysis, 7 p.m. Sydney time. And I've got webinars Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Just come over and register your interest. I look forward to seeing you then. Other than that, just be aware about what news is coming out. Other than that, have a great rest of the trading week. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.